The question is as we transition and good old-fashioned Mark Carney looks into the future, what do you think? What is he babbling on about now? Because they're promising, I believe, is it 500,000 new homes per year? As you can see from the current graph you have right now on your screen, we're not heading nowhere near that. In fact, we're trending way down from where we were. We've never even hit close to 480,000 or 500,000 homes per year. What's his big plan here, Patrick? Let's get into it.
Well, something I don't think what he calls a big plan. I mean, they're talking about hitting 4,000 homes. I mean, it's so ridiculous. There's what I really came to realize recently is that, government initiatives are kind of like home renos. You know how we joke that home renos, they're always going to cost you twice as much and take 3 times as long, some version of that. But in classic government form, it's going to take, 6 times as long and, cost you 10 times as much. They're going to 10x whatever that saying is. That's just the way of the government. So the Build Canada program is about 13. I think there's all sorts of numbers out there. It's like 13 billion up front, and then in the future it's going to be 25 billion. They're building what is supposed to be affordable housing. What people need to understand is hear that as rental affordability, rental units, even ADUs, like the quality of property that they're saying that they're going to build isn't even there. So number one, 13 billion sounds like a lot of money, but they're only talking about 4,000 homes in 6 cities. So we're not even. So I don't know what they're beating this drum about. If you work out the cost, 13 billion on about 4,000, I think it's whatever it is, $2.3 million a home, which goes back to what I said. It's going to cost you 10 times as much. So the CMHC data shows that housing starts are flat in Toronto. It's the lowest since 1996. Yet this plan doesn't really add anything. What it does, however, brilliantly as government does, it is a huge bureaucracy expansion. It's going to create another federal agency. It's not going to streamline approvals. It's a risk of even slower housing delivery just because of the administration. Think about the layers, JG. And this, you're a developer. Think about the layers of bureaucracy and the duplication of all things real estate when it comes to government. And it really boils down to, in my world, it's always the same case of it's politics, not policy. It's optics, not output. So the announcement that he just made, framed this whole campaign as something amazing. And, but as I'm listening to him, it's like he's got this little checkbox that he's checking off, right? And then on top of it, sorry to rant on this. This is just so pisses me off. So now he's talking about using federal land. So by the way, there's federal land, provincial land, municipal land. They're talking about using federal land. And by the way, there's very little public land, as I've dug into this, there's very little federal public land that is even close to making sense in terms of where you would build from an infrastructure point of view, and even how close you are to a major city, for example. So there's so many things that just kind of go against what he's saying that it almost is nonsensical. So I'll leave it at that and let you cut in there.
Well, I think there's a couple different elements to it. I just my thoughts on it is this is the thing that the thing that kind of drives me crazy, albeit I understand it. It's a liberal platform. So I'm not going to get what I want because the liberals don't have the same beliefs as I have. So let's separate those two things. But the fact that a government thinks they can create new agencies, more regulation, and more red tape to solve a problem that is already caused by regulation, red tape, and bureaucracy is just laughable. So it's like the way to solve this is to remove regulation, to remove red tape, and to make it easier for us to build and to make it more profitable for builders to build. But instead of doing that, they're doing the exact opposite. So I have absolutely zero hope in this working whatsoever. And there is no way. And I love his. I read in one of the headlines, that Mark Carney said. I believe it was something along the lines of like, we're going to solve this problem. We're going to make it our business to build homes. And I'm thinking, you're the federal government. This isn't your business. What are you doing? Like, this isn't your, but it is, the fact is, Patrick, is you're 100% right. This is policy. This is about the optics. This isn't about the actual policy and making something that works. He promised housing, so he's going to spend a whole lot of money, taxpayer money, wasting taxpayer money to try to fulfill on a promise that he absolutely cannot keep, and this will yield a big fat nothing burger. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, it's they're not going to pull it off. They'll screw it up. I mean, this was an extension of, I believe, the Trudeau initiative. So they've already been at it 6 or 8 months or more, and they still haven't got it handled. So that's just kind of how things are going to roll. So it's a lot about headlines right now. It's a lot about posturing. And at the end of the day, this is not going to do anything to solve our housing problem. And the other thing that we shouldn't step over, JG, is, let's face it, the federal initiatives don't necessarily align with the provincial and regional initiatives. So there's sticky spots all over the place. And, 4,000 homes is, let's face it, it's laughable.
And so I guess at the end of the day, Patrick, I think people listening and watching and they're asking themselves, JG, Patrick, you see a future with a housing shortage in it. Is this going to solve that? And the answer is no, not from my perspective. This housing plan will not solve any future housing shortage. And we're definitely still on track for that, because this is just going to add layers of bureaucracy. And in fact, the very fact that we have some of the lowest building permits. I know builders here in town in Peterborough, where I operate. They used to build 50, 60, 100 homes, 200 homes a year, 300 homes a year. You know how many building permits they pulled this year? 8 building permits. That's it, because they can't pencil the deal. They can't make it work. The development charges in Peterborough have gone up 400%. Oh, I wonder why we're not pulling any permits anymore. Oh, I wonder. That is the cause of this. And this is just going to make it worse for people, unfortunately.
It is. So let's unpack this a little bit deeper. Let's go to the one thing that we kind of talked about was what's happening in terms of city, provincial, and municipal challenges. Toronto, Vancouver are the big ones, but they're all going to go through this. And that is the fundamental. Toronto, Vancouver, specifically, to your point, Ontario in general has these crazy, whether it be transfer taxes, zoning fees, what am I thinking about? Zoning, taxes,
development charges.
So think about that for a second. Think about how much money goes to the government, municipal, provincial coffers, federal as well, on even a 800 unit condo tower in Toronto or a bigger development in the suburbs. That's all stopped. It's frozen. So where's that money going to come from, JG?
It's big dollars. It's huge dollars, huge. Patrick.
Billions and billions of dollars. Yeah. To your point, I just want to shine a light. You think about it. You know Peterborough like the back of your hand. So think about it. If you're not pulling permits, or there's very few permits being pulled, where's the money coming? So aside from the fact you're not building anything, so okay, that would lead to some form of a shortage. Where are they getting the money from that's going to pay the infrastructure?
Let's look at that one example, so people can wrap their minds around the numbers. Just that one builder that is a top of mind for me right now that I believe has always built about 200 homes a year. He's built 8 this year, right? So at 200 homes, the average development charge in Peterborough is $70,000 per home. 200 homes times $70,000 is $14 million of development charges that he's not generating for the city this year. So that's 200 new homes that aren't getting built. That's jobs and GDP and all of the buying around 200 homes. Plus and by the way, the city makes taxes on all that stuff. And then there's 14, just the straight up development charges of $14 million they're not making. So you're 100% right, Patrick. This will get way more serious for them. And hopefully one day they can do layoffs, and then they'll get their head out of their ass and say, oh, maybe we should do something about this.
So the first off is that, everybody's hoping that the government's going to solve this housing problem. They're not. It's going to go through the cycle that it goes through. Different regions are going to be at the effect of it differently. So what's Alberta going through right now continues to be a slowdown, Calgary being way ahead of Edmonton, but even Edmonton's getting softer. We were at the Real Estate Investor Conference in Edmonton a week ago or so right now. And ultimately, you start to see the investors coming in. They're still excited about what's going on, but we see where Edmonton is going as an example, surrounding area. But Alberta is not going to feel near the pain that Ontario is feeling right now and will inevitably get worse.
So if you like these episodes and you want to learn more about what's going on with real estate in Canada, investing in real estate, and understanding how to invest in real estate the right way, head on down to the descriptions below, follow those links.